All right, let's talk about a success story that basically ripped up the entire modern marketing rulebook. We are talking about Zudio. So get this. You've got a fashion brand aimed squarely at Gen Z, the most online generation in history, but it has no online store at all. Sounds like a complete recipe for disaster, right? Well, except it's not. Against all logic, Zudio has absolutely exploded onto the Indian fashion scene, and its growth is, well, it's just breathtaking. Just to give you a sense of the scale here, take a look at the stock price of Trent, Zudio's parent company. It's shot up over 1,200% in just 4 years. That's not just growth, people. That's an explosion. So the question is, how on earth did they pull this off? I mean, we live in a world where online first is everything. So how did Zudio not just survive, but thrive with only physical brick and mortar stores? To figure this out, we're going to dig in and break down their whole strategy. We'll start with the paradox itself, then we'll decode their target audience, check out their unique real estate strategy, analyze their pricing, see how it all fits into the bigger picture with Tata, and finally, we'll lay out the complete Zudio playbook. Okay, so first things first, let's really lay out the puzzle we're trying to solve here, the Zudio paradox. So, Zudio kicks off back in 2016. It's part of the massive Tata Group, and their mission was super clear. Go after India's youngest, most fashion-forward shoppers. Fast forward to today, and they absolutely own that space, using a strategy that honestly makes no sense on paper. So to get how they did this, we gotta throw out all the usual stereotypes about their market. Let's really get to know India's Gen Z. Okay, so the easy assumption, right? Gen Z lives online, they find new trends on Instagram, they watch fashion hauls on YouTube. You know the drill. So naturally, you'd think the only way to sell to them is online. But that's where you'd be missing a huge piece of the puzzle. And here it is, the one stat that changes everything. A massive 80% of India's Gen Z, they don't live in the big metro hubs. They live in what are called Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. And this one fact, it's the key that unlocks Zudio's entire strategy. And what this reality creates is something called the aspiration option gap. Think about it. Young people in these smaller towns, they're seeing the exact same trends on social media as kids in Mumbai or Delhi. They want to look cool. They want to express themselves. The problem? Their local shopping options are basically non-existent, especially if they're looking for something that's both trendy and affordable. And Zudio? They aimed right for that sweet spot. So why not just sell to them online? Because e-commerce in these regions is a lot trickier than you'd think. I mean, get this. Online fashion returns in India can hit a staggering 40%, which just kills profitability. Zudio understood that a physical store where you can actually touch the fabric and try things on builds a kind of trust that an online-only retailer just can't match there. And that deep understanding of their customer leads us right to the next piece of their strategy, this really unique, kind of brilliant real estate plan they have. And man, are they focused. About 85% of all their stores are located in these non-metro cities, right where that aspiration option gap is the widest. They are literally putting their stores exactly where their customers live. But here's where it gets really fascinating. What about that other 15% of stores that are in the big metro cities? Well, if you pull up a map of their stores in, say, Delhi or Mumbai, you see something wild. There are 0 Zudio stores in the wealthiest, most exclusive neighborhoods. These are their no-go zones. And the logic behind it is it's just so simple and smart. Why would you open a store where the residents aren't your target customer? While other brands are chasing a fancy address for prestige, Zudio just avoids it. They know their value proposition doesn't work for that crowd, so they don't waste a single penny trying. You know, so many brands try to be everything to everyone. Zudio's success is a masterclass in the exact opposite. They are crystal clear on who their customer is, and maybe even more importantly, who their customer is not. So they've found the right customer in the right location, but how do they seal the deal? With their single biggest weapon, pricing. Okay, so you walk into a Zudio, right? You can grab a t-shirt for as low as 200 rupees. That's like $2.50. And it doesn't stop there. A pair of jeans, just 700 rupees. The prices are, by any standard, just ridiculously low. But these prices aren't just low to be low. You have to put this into context. In India, the average person between 18 and 24 years old earns less than 6,000 rupees a month. And once you understand that financial reality, everything just clicks into place. For their target customer, a student, someone in their first job, affordability isn't a feature. It's an absolute necessity. Zudio's pricing is perfectly in tune with their customer's wallet. So how do they pull this off? It's because Zudio only sells its own in-house brand. They control the entire process, from the design sketch all the way to the store shelf. This model, it's called vertical integration, cuts out all the middlemen and their markups, which lets them slash costs and pass those savings right on to you. Now, let's zoom out for a second because Zudio isn't operating in a vacuum. It's a key piece of a much bigger, very clever strategy by its parent company. You could call it Tata's two-pronged attack. See, Trent also owns another fashion brand called Westside, and if you look at how they work together, it's brilliant. Zudio goes for the young, super budget-conscious shoppers in Tier 2 and 3 cities. Westside targets the slightly more premium, aspirational middle class, mostly in the bigger cities. They aren't competing with each other at all. They're blanketing the entire market from two different directions. I mean, what Tata has managed to pull off with these two brands is remarkable. For years, high-quality, trendy fashion in India was seen as a luxury. Through Zudio and Westside, they've made it accessible to pretty much everyone, everywhere. So after breaking all that down, what are the big takeaways? Let's boil it all down into the final Zudio playbook. Here it is, 4 core principles. First, find a group of people whose aspirations aren't being met by the market. Second, be ruthless about who your customer is, and just as important, who they are not. Third, build your whole business around their financial reality. Make affordability a necessity. And finally, number 4, control your brand from start to finish so you can deliver on that promise every single time. Zudio's incredible success came from looking at a conventional rule that you must be online to reach young people and having the courage to break it, all because they understood their specific market better than anyone else. It leaves you with one final thought. What's the unbreakable rule in your world that's just waiting to be shattered?